Hey, if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in, or maybe even skeptical of, the process of jailbreaking your iPhone or your iPod Touch. And skepticism is definitely a healthy thing, so I'd like to take this opportunity to show you all the things that you can do with it, and then you can decide if you think it's worthwhile. Before I get down to actually showing the goodies that you can do with a jailbroken iPhone, I'd like to just lay down a few ground things. One, jailbreaking is not illegal. There are illegal things you can do when you're jailbroken, such as stealing apps and not paying for them, but that's a small fraction of what you can do. No one is going to make you break the law when you jailbreak, and jailbreaking itself is not illegal. Two, jailbreaking will not damage your phone or your iPod Touch. It will not. You can always, always, always restore with iTunes. Even if you think it's jammed to the point where it won't restore, there are button combos that you can force it to go into a mode where it will wait to be contacted by iTunes and do a full restore. The other bad thing about it is Apple will not service a jailbroken iPhone, so you'd have to plug it into iTunes and restore it and go back to a clean slate, if you needed a hardware fix. But if you do that, there are no traces of jailbreaking left over. Apple isn't going to, say, "Aha! You jailbroke this. We will not fix it for you." It'll be a clean slate, and you're all set. So it's not a no turning back thing. There's no point of no return. You can always easily come back if you end up not liking it. So let's get down to it and start showing off all the awesome things you can do with a jailbroken iPhone or iPod Touch. One thing I forgot about the quality of the upcoming video segments. They're all recorded live off of my iPhone using a technology called VNC, which allows you to remotely control your iPhone from your computer. So obviously, it has to be jailbroken to use it. Apple would certainly never allow that. But the bonus is that I can then take that video and record it live instead of just showing screenshots. But the drawback is the video is a little choppy. But know that jailbroken iPhones, the video still runs fine. Even as I'm doing this demo, the video on the phone itself is great. It's perfect. But the actual transmitted video is a little choppy. Okay, let's start with the most basic and most obvious category of hacks, which would be interface modifications. Now, it should be immediately clear to you that my home screen is a lot more cluttered than a normal iPhone would be. And that's because I have a 5-icon dock and a 5-column home screen hack installed, because I have a lot of apps installed on here. And the way it was before, I had a bunch of pages I had to flip through to hunt for any one app that I wanted to use. Now, you can still have multiple pages with the 5-icon setup. I just don't like to. And you still have the ability to reorganize your apps by dragging them, but you lose the spooky wiggle that Apple added, which is unfortunate, but not all that important. And so, instead of flipping through a bunch of pages, I have folders to store all my apps. Here is my games folder, where I keep all my games. And, I have other folders for things. I have a folder for my tools and things like that. And even that's still too slow for me. That I still have to flick through to find everything. So if I'm on the home screen and I press the home button again, I get Quick Gold, which is a quick little way of looking up any apps you want. Suppose I wanted to play SimCity. I would just start typing Sim, and there you have it. So I would just click it and it launches. It's a great way to get to all of your apps. And as you can see, it also picks up any phone numbers, and you can dial phone numbers that way. It's really quick. Another really helpful interface add-on, if you slide your finger across the menu bar from any app, you don't have to be on the home screen, you get springboard settings. And from here you can toggle your Wi-Fi, you can change the brightness, you can do a whole bunch of things. It gives you your IP address, it gives you how much RAM you have free, how much disk space you have free, and there's a little process monitor so you can kill any programs that you have running. And then there's a nice little power menu, so you can do reboots, you can lock your phone, and all sorts of other things like that. Now, if you see in my dock, I have one text message, but you can't always see that when you're in another app. If you look up in the upper right up on my menu bar, there's a little speech bubble, and that tells me that I have an unread text. But I can see that, even from the lock screen. If I'm just checking the time with my phone and just looking at the lock screen, that'll be there if I have a text. There'll be a little envelope there if I have an email. A phone shows up if you have a missed call. It's very nice. And if you look over to the left side of the menu bar, you'll notice I don't have the AT&T carrier logo there. I'm still on AT&T. I just don't, I don't need to know that. I know what carrier I'm on, thanks, AT&T. And lastly, and least importantly, take a close look at the clock. The clock icon, not the clock at the top. You'll notice that the time is correct and that it's ticking. just like a normal clock would. The games are perfectly fine for being released on the App Store because they don't do anything Apple wouldn't want them to do. One exception that violates these rules would be emulators, because of obvious legal tension between Apple and whomever made the games originally. Now, suppose you have backups of games you own on some classic console and you'd like to play them on your iPhone. Well, that's where the jailbroken emulators come in. They have them for several consoles, including Genesis, Game Boy Advance, and the one I'll be demoing, which is NES, with the classic Super Mario Bros. And it plays pretty well on the iPhone. The video here is a little choppy because the iPhone is trying to play an NES game and broadcast the video over the network so that you all can see, and that slows it down considerably. It also has sound. Which is, again, made hiccupy by broadcasting simultaneous video over the network. If you turn it sideways, the screen gets bigger and the buttons get bigger to make it easier to play, a feature I love. And if you hit the home button while you're playing, if you look in the upper right menu bar, there's a little NES controller icon to tell you there's still a game in progress. And if you go back to it while it's still running, it saves it just where you were. The only drawback is that the emulator itself does not come with any of these games. You have to have backups of games you already own. Next we'll be talking about running your apps in the background. Now normally when you hit the home button and the app closes, it's not allowed to run anymore. This is because otherwise, your memory would get full, you'd have several apps running in the background, maybe you aren't using them, and they're just wasting RAM. The only apps that are really the exception to this rule would be the iPod app and the Mail app, but those are all, Apple's built-in apps. And sometimes, maybe you're listening to music. I love Last.fm, maybe you like Pandora, maybe you have another app that plays music, but maybe at the same time you'd really like to play some solitaire or some chess or anything. But you can't do that. So what you can do when you've jailbroken it is, if you hold down the home button for a little while, it'll say, backgrounding enabled. Then you let go, and you go back to the home screen, and it's still running. So now I'm free to do whatever I want while the Last.fm app is still running. Now, to turn it off, you just hold it just the same way. You hold it down, it'll say backgrounding disabled, and the music cuts out. That's what would normally happen when you quit the app. Copy and paste was something that people just expected Apple would have on the iPhone, but they've so far failed to deliver. The G phone has it, but the iPhone still doesn't. And there are a few apps in the App Store that, say they have copy and paste like Magic Pad, but you can only copy and paste in that one app, which is okay. But where Apple fails, the jailbreaking community delivers with the copy and paste plugin that lets you copy and paste between apps anywhere that you can bring up a keyboard. So, you click and you bring up the keyboard, and then you pick, where you want to do them, use the magnifying glass tool, and then once you're there, you double tap with the magnifying glass and you drag. And that copies it. And then you switch to the number pad, and up comes the copy-paste toolbar. We'll just press copy, close the toolbar, and then you can go to any other app you want. And we'll just go into SMS. Suppose I wanted to copy something from one app and send it in a text message. So then once the text message app loads, you just click in the text field you want, you bring the toolbar back up, you click paste, and there you go. It's easy as that. You can even keep multiple things in a stack. So, see, I have this in here twice, but you can have several other things in there, and whatever one you move to the top is the one that will actually be pasted. And it's easy just to clear it. Thanks for watching my video. I hope it's shown you some of the really cool stuff you can do with a jailbroken iPhone. Now, there's plenty more that you can do. I just don't really want to bore you with hours and hours of awesome footage. If that stuff looked a little complicated for you, if it looked like frills that you're not interested in, maybe shop around a little bit, see if someone else has a better demo, or just don't worry about it. But I love jailbreaking, and for anyone who's been paying attention to the clock in the menu bar on my iPhone during the video segments, it's getting pretty late, and I'm sleepy. I'm going to bed. Thank you.